almost. My wife bought me this years ago.
I've been just sitting here.
Ah, you catch me all the time.
Yes.
Oh my God.
But you seem so much into the moment. I didn't want to,
that's my life.
Yes, you
that's
like music. Yes.
That's what I'm into, the moment.
The
because
moment.
This moment is life, and this life is the moment.
Yes.
Which brings me right back to the columns that I've been reading.
Ah, that were written in another moment.
That another moment altogether. So, without further ado.
Okay, so what are you reading today?
Once again, it's from a series of columns I wrote for African Times newspaper. The publisher's name was Charles Anyiam, and I've mentioned early on that he's a nice guy. We had, I think, a pretty good business relationship. We didn't hang out together, but one thing I have to appreciate, and I've said it, and I will say it over and over again, she didn't make any editorial demands on me. And it's very important for a writer to have someone who commissions them to do something and then resists the urge to tell him what to do. He resists the urge to tell me what to do. I'm sure there were times you might have said, why don't you do this rather than that, but he didn't. And the successional columns that came out as a result of our relationship are the ones that I'm reading now. This one is called...
They were written at what time?
Over time. From October 1996 to 1999.
Okay.
November 1999.
Talking about a little history and seeing if history repeats itself.
History very much repeats itself.
Okay.
And I think that is being revealed as I read these pieces.
Yes.
Except that I would add, at this point in time, we've never had such a person, I guess that's the term you could use, like this person that we have now, who is sitting in the Oval Office. I like to use the word my Spanish-speaking friends use, el tromposo.
Yes.
El tromposo. But that's a subject for another day.
That's now, and this is then.
This is this.
Yes.
These two pieces, one is called The Night the General Squared Off with the Poet, and the other piece is called Watching Babatude Olatunji and Ghana Drum Ensemble Live.
Wow.
Two,
yes.
Like I said, I was given carte blanche. I just let my head go wild. And whatever it is that was happening that week, I might focus on or come up with something totally different. It all depends on what the vibe was. The night the general squared off with the poet. Initially, my love for Japanese sumo wrestling took me to Channel 18. And later, my desire to find out what people of other cultures were saying, doing, and thinking. I discovered that it really isn't necessary to speak Mandarin, Chinese, Farsi, Thai, Armenian, Japanese, Korean, or Russian in order to get an idea of what is happening in these communities. It would be immensely helpful, of course, to know one of those languages or all of them, but if that linguistic capability eludes us, tune in anyway. Just expanding the ethnic consciousness will make the trip worthwhile. January 31st, 1997. While waiting impatiently for a scheduled David Frost interview with General Colin Powell, remember him?
Yes.
And poet Maya Angelou on Channel 28, yes, I do subscribe. At 9 p.m., I absently remoted to Channel 18. It was a standard variety show in a packed auditorium, and the act was Korean rappers. In a serious effort to leave no doubt in anyone's mind about who they owed their artistic money to, all of the rappers were stylishly dressed in black. A Korean Queen Latifah, with trendy shades, prowled the stage like a card-carrying sister in the hip-hop nation, while her backup crew, 6 guys in ninja gear, performed their prerequisite spins and twirls like Taekwondo dervishes on a holiday. Reluctantly, I remoted away from what sounded like the beginning of a Fuji send-up to David Frost asking Colin Powell to explain who Colin Powell is. Powell, in his autobiography, An American Journey, was able to go into much greater detail about what it meant to be the son of a Jamaican immigrants, how humdrum his life was until he discovered the military life. Wow. He skimmed the surface of Frost's soft questioning and gave us the rich history of an exciting life. It was a bit disappointing, perhaps, that Frost didn't make a great effort to probe Powell's urbane surface, to insist that he reveal some of the Machiavellian maneuvers he must have used as an inside figure during the reign of 3 American presidents. 3. In his book, General Powell just as cleverly avoids the down and dirty in pursuit of a moral high ground. But these are quibbling points. It is the full measure of the man that must be taken. He didn't bite his tongue when he stated his case for pro-choice. It's between the woman, her God, and her doctor. Nor did he skate past the racism that has plagued America since the first racists arrived. Frost neglected to ask Powell 2 white-hot questions that we tossed around our house at the conclusion of the interview. What in the world possessed him to support Robert Dole, one of the most ill-spoken and politically unmarketable presidential candidates this country has ever seen, in my opinion? And why isn't he running for president against Vice President Al Gore the next time around? As a reluctant draftee, 1962 to 1964, I would be the last one to promote a general's case. But in this instance, I would have to push past my own prejudices and vote for one of the most capable figures we've had on the scene in many years. My prayer would be that he does not find himself submerged by the gunk and slime of American politics as usual. Maya Angelou seemed to keep David Frost's mouth at a half-mast position for most of the half hour he chatted with her. We can be sure that his constant look of awe would have been edited away had it not been so persuasive. The editor would have been forced to edit Frost completely off the set if he had tried to catch him with his lower jaw held in place. Maya Angelou has been everywhere, done everything, knows everybody, and still speaks about life as though she's still discovering each hour as she lives it. It's totally unusual for a public figure to be as bold and clear as she is. She spoke about being raped at an early age and how she revealed it to inadvertently cause the rapist's death. He was found a few days later dead. I became aware of the power of words, of language, and didn't speak again for about 5 years. She spoke about her early days as a poor little black girl in Stamps, Arkansas. I simply wasn't aware that we were poor. There were so many rich experiences in our daily lives. In one of her books, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, she writes about her life as a young hooker in a Northern California town and how she got past that valley. During the course of the David Frost interview, it seemed that her earthiness and logic was threatening to take television to an attitude where it never seldom goes. Exquisite language, that's what she speaks, exquisite, my daughter Gabrielle said, and we understood exactly what she meant. Now, in these times, we've become so accustomed to hearing public figures use so many words and say so little that when an angel who speaks is like hearing something pristine happening. I used to get a headache trying to understand what Bob Dole was saying. And sometimes I get a headache understanding what Bill Clinton is doing. I don't have to tell you what's going on with me right now. David Frost puffed out clouds that Maya Angelou blew away. I don't think it had anything to do with one upwomanship on her part. She is just deeper than he is. That's all. Okay. Let's go to
lighter.
A little music after having. I'm sure most people remember who Babatude Olatunji was, so I need not get into that.
Can you give us a little?
Well, his autobiography is open to all those who want to, Google Babatude Olatunji. Okay. On February 18th, 1997, Babatude Olatunji returned to Los Angeles for the first time in years. He was one half of an interwoven program that featured the Ghana Dance Ensemble direct from Accra, Ghana. Place I just come from after 3 years. 3 years in Accra. Oh, all over the place. I lived in Osu, I lived in Adibraka, I lived in Kanda, I lived in Labone, I lived in Labara, now they call it La. So it rings a bell. On February 18th in the Veterans Memorial Auditorium in Culver City, California, Babatude Olatunji was there for us. This Nigerian drum master has been giving American audiences a many-faceted look at African music for more than 40 years. He has appeared with avant-garde jazz ensembles and cross-cultural musical disciplines, always leaving ample evidence of his belief that rhythms are the governing forces of our lives. His drumming is a bit more elegant now, the singing voice edged with a darker coating of honey sweet salt, and his advice has become more profound. Any performance by Olatunji can be exquisite drum patterns. He might ease in a bit of advice to people who are having marital problems, caution the young to be careful of dangerous activities, promote racial and world peace, invite the audience to open its collective psyche for a trip back to the motherland. After 40 years of being on the world stages, he has reached a spiritual level of performing that allows him to play an audience as easily as he plays his drums. He does not patronize his audience or degrade their ability to appreciate the complexities of African music. He places a full table in front of us and whispers. It is not only rhythm, but melody, mellowness, innovation, and daring. He dared to serenade us with pieces from his album, Drums of Passion, released before Fela Anikulapo Kuti, and King Sunny Ade became who they are today. Perhaps Babatude had something to do with that. He offered us slightly different renditions of Jingle Ba. Jingle, jingle ba, jingle, jingle ba, jingle ba ba la ba ba la ba ba la ba, jo ba ba la ba ba la ba ba la ba, jingle, jingle ba, jingle ba, jingle ba, jingle ba, jingle ba ba. Oh,
Nice.
that was suddenly came to my head.
Nice. Okay.
Aki Wo Wo, and several other ancient favorites, and lured us back to sweeter times. When he sang out to ask us at one point in the program, "Have you missed me?" we called back to him with one voice, "Yes, yes, yes." On February 18th, 1997, Babatude Olatunji returned. Adupwe, we thank you, Baba. The Ghana Dance Ensemble was celebrating Ghana's 40th anniversary of independence from England and African American History Month. The ensemble made both events a meaningful occasion by their dynamic performances. The costuming was gorgeous, the dance well rehearsed, and the pieces spanned the length and breadth of Ghana. The African genius for mimicry, satire, and sly social commentary was amply demonstrated on a beautiful piece about the young and old, about the claims that we all try to make, pointing to the power that we feel makes us powerful. Fade in. Four energetic young couples give us a hard-stopping 5 minutes of pure dance. An older couple, watching the action from upstage, decide to try to do what the young people have just finished doing. This is happening on stage. The man literally falls dead trying to do so, trying to do what the young people have just finished. His wife is greatly distressed. She goes for help and returns with a traditional priest. He races into the wings and returns with a marvelous caricature of a swaggering MD, quite full of herself. Obviously, she wastes no time unsheathing the largest needle ever jammed into a human backside. Miraculously, the husband stirs and is soon on his feet. The traditional priest, the guy with the cross on his caftan, and the swaggering lady doctor all dance their claim to fame and leave the couple to continue their interrupted dance. A moment afterward, the wife swoons and the husband repeats the process of bringing the traditional priest, the guy with the cross on his chest, and the swaggering MD back on stage to treat his wife. Quickly, eventually, she recovers, and once again, all of those who treated her take credit for her recovery. They all dance away happily ever after. That's a kind of sort of a kind
Simple,
of dry
simple
explanation of what happened. But the gorgeousness of the dance and the satire of it. If you've ever, I saw this, I've seen this several times. The older man with the young cutie pie, she wants to go to the dance house and dance, you know, with the loud music, and he really is a bit tired from last night, or tired from that early morning. But he has to put up with it and deal with it if he wants to hold on to the cutie pie. And at some point, during the course of the evening, he just simply goes to sleep on the table after too many beers and too much dance and
not enough rest.
Not enough rest. So the moral of the story, I guess, is if you want to do your best dance, lay down.
Very good. Very good. Yeah.
Oh, something like
something like that. And when you were playing your music, I seemed to hear some samba rhythms and some when you were doing.
I'm trying to do it.
Well, on that somebody rhythm.
Someone already.
Okay. Your website is www.odiehawkins.com. Books can be purchased on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Archway and Big Book Lady, or at your local bookstore. Just go in and say, I want a book by Odie Hawkins, the Undergroundmaster.